Hello, everyone. Good morning for the Hong Kong audience. Welcome to the Beer Garden again. Today will be the big day of Hong Kong racing at Charene. There will be 10 races over there and featuring two races, including race 7. It will be the Group 1 Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup. Not a big field, but really good to watch. And also the once in a lifetime glory race 8, the Hong Kong Derby over 2,000 meters for all the 4-year-old rising stars to competing with each other. So today, along with Nathan, Steve, and myself, we are going to talk about our preview of the two big races, of course. So let's start with the first race that we are going to discuss. It will be race 7, the Group 1 over 1,400 meters, Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup. It is just a field of 5. So let's pick our favorite runners of this race. Nathan, who do you like in this Group 1?
This is a very classy 5-horse field. I think we've got some very nice talented gallopers. 4 of them have won Group 1 success. Obviously, Courier Wonder, the outlier there, but even he has some claims after his last start effort in behind Duke Y. But for mine, I just kept looking at this race and I just kept thinking about the map, and it looks a tricky one. This will be a race of tactics. How will things unfold? The clear-cut leader will be California Spangle, and I just think his form over 1,400 meters is the form I want to be following. He's had 2 runs, obviously, at the mile, 2 starts back. He beat Golden 60 over the 1,600 meters in the Hong Kong mile. Thought it was a really good win. We saw what happened with Beauty Joy sort of taking off mid-race, giving him a bunny to chase. And Golden 60 was enormous that day from back in the field. Didn't really get a nice enough tempo to swoop off, and then also got too far back. And you can argue he definitely should have won the race, but California Spangle was tough, and that was 1,600 meters. Then since then, went to the Stewards Cup and only just got beat by a nose by Romantic Warrior. And then also the champ stood up and showed his best and came out and lobbed yet again. I mean, just the absolute freak that Golden 60 is, just getting better with age, it seems. And I thought California Spangle was amazing in that effort. I thought it was a really nice run, considering he went quick enough, and he had Romantic Warrior right out on his outside, right on his hammer the entire way. So he's getting pestered. So here, Zach Purton elects to take California Spangle. He would have had a choice out of him and also Lucky Swain S. He's chosen to stick with California Spangle. I think that's a big push in that regard. I think he can jump from barrier 1. He'll definitely be leading this race. The query is, what does James McDonald do on Lucky Swain S? Does he go forward? Does he try and make this a speed test and just try and sort of make it a speed battle up on speed? I'm not sure you want to get into one, because California Spangle has shown in the past, especially in a smaller field like this, he can just continue to bowl along, and he can do it on both ends of the candle. And because he's done it at 1,600 meters and coming back to the 1,400, I think that's a big tick. I've always had a big opinion of California Spangle over a sprinting trip. I actually think he's better suited to the shorter course than the mile, in my opinion. I think he sort of got away with the Hong Kong mile, in my opinion. I think he's a very good horse, but I think back to 1,400 is a key. And the fact that he's found a Group 1 over this course and distance, I think it's a big advantage, California Spangle, just on his tactics. He'll go forward, he'll lead. Lucky Swain S probably sits outside him. I feel like that's how the race is going to pan out, but gee, I love Lucky Swain S. He terrifies me in this race. He's definitely the clear danger for mine. His win in the sprint last time, Centenary Sprint Cup last time, was just enormous. He just stayed outside the leader and kept on chasing, and he was very, very bold to the line. He's won at the 1,400 meters as well, so he ticks that box, even if you did have a small query in that regard. But when they've come up, was it $1.90 or $2 and $2.30? I got to be with the Group 1 winner at the mile, coming back to the 1,400, and that's California Spangle. Loved his trial in between runs. I love the way they're spacing his runs too. Basically a month between runs. I really, really think I just had to come back to the class. Wellington, what do we do with him? I think he's been a very, very good horse. He runs into a quality couple gallopers here. Can definitely win the race. There's no knock on him. And Ryan Moore, we saw what he did in the Hong Kong Sprint just a couple of months ago. And then Waikuku, he's sort of the fly in the ointment. Does he go forward? Does he try and press and build some, despite a small field, make it a very hot and genuine tempo? So a lot of intriguing factors in this race. And despite only being 5 runners, I'm very, very excited to see this battle. But I've gone with California Spangle. I think he's the right horse in this race, and I'm very keen to be betting him at the even money. I think that's fair. And Zach Purton electing to stick is a big factor. So California Spangle on top in the Group 1 feature.
Yeah, so number one, California Spangle. Currently, the price is 1.9. The favorites, I think he will still be the favorites when the gates open. Breaking from gate one with Zach Burton on board seems the likely winner of this Group One. What do you think about it, Steve?
Yes, I'm in agreement with Nathan California Spangle for me. For me, he's just the probably the best horse in the race. 9 wins from 15 starts. He's never been out of the frame in all that time. He's gone up 18 pounds this season. He's a 5-year-old. I think he's still improving. He's won from one over 1,400 meters. I think this is arguably his best distance. And I mean, you go back to his defeat third up was to Rocky Heart, and Rocky Heart was in gate one, and California Spangle was in gate 12. Now, since then, he's either won or he has been beaten by Romantic Warrior or Golden 60. Now, that is some form he's bringing to the table. So you're really asking his opposition to be in that as good as that, and I don't really think they are. I don't think California Spangle is an exciting horse, as Nathan says, but I just don't think he has the same class, the ability. And you try and look for holes in California Spangle, but what he brings to the table is just a very, very high level of form, and I think it's good enough to push away the two main chances, which obviously are Lucky Sweynesse and Wellington. Wellington, interesting horse, 6 years old, probably not getting any better. I still think there's a chance he could split them both, actually, with Ryan Moore on. Such a fantastic jockey. Could almost see California Spangle. I think Manfred Mann, the trainer of Sweynesse, intimated that James McDonald would be sticking to California Spangle like glue. You can almost imagine that with California Spangle out there leading, could just exhaust, he just burn off Lucky Sweynesse, and possibly Ryan Moore on Wellington could pick up the pieces and finish second. But that's the way I could possibly see it happening. But yes, for me, California Spangle, just a very, very good horse. And the other two, you would have to think there's always as Nathan says, the fly in the ointment. Why Cuckoo? You'd like to think that Courier Wonder wouldn't be up to this, but yes, I think. And another thing about California Spangle, I think he knows him so well now, Zach Burton. I almost think that he could almost run it like a barrier trial. He comes out and in his head, he runs the race that he thinks will get California Spangle to the line first. And if on the outside, say Lucky Sweynesse goes 3/4 of a length ahead of him on the outside, I think Zach Burton would just stick to his game plan and just carry on, do what he wants to do, let the others work around him, because I think he just will do the pace that he wants, and ultimately I think it'll be good enough to win.
Yeah, so another vote for California Spangle, and I also like him because I think he is really the likely winner of this Group One, and I think that it will probably be a race among California Spangle, Wellington, and Lucky Sweynesse, because for the speed map in this 5-horse races, I think California Spangle will be leading, getting the rail, and then Lucky Sweynesse with James McDonald on board will be outsiding him, and also Waikuku from gate 2 will maybe at the box seat, and then followed by Wellington and Courier Wonder at the very back. It is just a small field, as we just mentioned, because some of the other top sprinters in Hong Kong will be heading to Dubai, like Size Success and Duke Y. So there's just a small field, but it is still very interesting to watch because there are some good horses here. California Spangle, the ones to beat from gate 1 and with the best jockey in town, Zach Burton, he will be leading, and I think the pace may not be very fast, so it will be quite suitable for him. And of course, we see that this 5-year-old in this season, he improved a lot because as a leader, he showed some good final sectional in the race before. And also last time, the Group 1 Steering Cup over 1,600 meters, the distance may be too long for him. So if Tony Cruz decides to put him racing over the mile or even longer, maybe like 2,000 meters, he will face some stronger rivals, just like Golden 60 and also Romantic Warrior. They may be quite hard to beat for California Spangle. But this time, stepping back to 1,400 meters, they are quite quite better chance for him. So actually here, I think I may have a bet on a forecast with California Spangle winning and Wellington finishing second, because I also respect Wellington's form as the last year winner of the Queen Silver Jubilee Cup, and also with the on form Ryan Moore on board, he will be also favorable for the pace. And I think maybe Lucky Swingless will be finishing third. So I may have this forecast bet for with California Spangle will be winning this Group 1. So to recap this race 7, the Group 1 Queen Silver Jubilee Cup offers have an agreement of number 1 California Spangle. So hopefully he will be racing well over 1400 meters. Okay, so now the second race we are going to talk about will be the other feature of the day, race 8, the 4-year-old Classic Series final leg, the Hong Kong Derby over 2,000 meters. There will be a full field of 14, quite a good match here. So Nathan, who is your favorite 4-year-old to win the Derby?
This is a terrific edition of the Derby. We've got so many different aspects to analyse from it. The Hong Kong Classic Cup, obviously the main one, with Super Sunny Singh coming out and absolutely really was pretty dominant, I thought, that day, and won really, really well. I do want to reference that form in a minute, but for me, the horse that goes on top and the horse that I just feel is continuing to impress and continuing to tick every box every time he stepped out, that's number 2, Beauty Eternal. I feel like every time I've been on here, I've talked about him because I just really like him. I think he's a very special talent. You have any reservations, it's got to be 2,000 meters. He hasn't seen the trip. He won last start at the mile in Class 2 in dominant fashion and absolutely destroyed the clock in doing so. He pumped his rifles. It was a demoralization, really. He was hard held going to the line. It was a strong, strong win. Comes here, set weights against the 4-year-olds. You've got to imagine that this is a pretty good setup considering his rating. You look at a horse like Keefe, who, coming into this 4-year-old series, you would have had him favourite initially. He was clearly the one to beat, I thought, coming into the series. He just hasn't quite put it together this preparation. But, man, you look at Beauty Eternal's rating in this race and you look at how he's just continued to progress. And John Size, he knows how to place his horse. He knows how to win a derby. We know that. And so the way that this horse has been building up, and now finds the 2,000 meters at his peak, I just have to be with him. I think, look, he's come up essentially an equal favourite alongside Super Sunny Singh, and I think that's fair based on how those two horses have been competing. Drawn gate 7, Beauty Eternal, interestingly, with Purton on, and he did an interview recently saying he didn't love the gate because of a horse like Sword Point can dictate terms, and that might be true, but gee, if he just finds a midfield sit with cover here, I think he's too good. I think he can find that spot. And if they go a little bit too quick or if they go a little bit slow, his ability, his adaptability to be able to just sprint off anything, I think he's just too good here at the 2,000 meters. Provided he runs out the trip, I think he's a very, very good bet in the race. Going back to the Classic Cup form, I thought the best run out of that race, and the horse I'm going to be saving on in this race outside of Beauty Eternal, is actually Galaxy Witness. I can't believe it's come up the price it is. I think at the price, it's a very good each way bet. $19 and 4.3 on the Jockey Club website. That's ridiculous. I thought it was one of the best runs of the day in that race, considering Super Sunny Singh was enormous from back in the field. There's no doubt about that. But now we look at the barriers here on Sunday afternoon. Super Sunny Singh's drawn 9. Galaxy Witness draws 3, and we get Damien Frosty Lane on board. From a perfect draw, he can go find a sort of a midfield set, maybe one off. And I think he's the one that's going to be powering over the top late with Super Sunny Singh. But I don't know if they're going to be able to get to Beauty Eternal. But, geez, Galaxy Witness is the one that just silly odds. I'm really happy to have a saver bet on him. Super Sunny Singh, I respect him. He's just a little bit short for mine. I don't know if I could mark him that short compared to Beauty Eternal, but the fact that we're getting that means that I'm getting a fair enough price to be backing Beauty Eternal as well. So they're my 2 bets in the race. Beauty Eternal, the main bet. I'll have a little saver on Galaxy Witness, but I just couldn't get away from Beauty Eternal and how he's been running in Hong Kong. It seems like it was a late decision maybe to go to the Derby, but I think it's the right one. I think he's class. I think, are we going to see like a romantic warrior coming out of this race? I don't know. But Beauty Eternal right now looks the one. If there's gonna be something that you go, wow, coming out of it, I think it's him. So Beauty Eternal on top for me.
Yeah, so number 2, Beauty Eternal for Nathan. He is the current favorite with $2.6, and the second favorite in the field will be number 3, Super Sunny, saying 2.9. So many punters, racing fans are thinking that this should be a race between them. So, Steve, what do you think about this year's Hong Kong Derby? Who's your favorite runner?
Yeah, it's a bit like last week when Nathan was echoing my selections. I'm now echoing Nathan's selections. It's hard to get away from Beauty Eternal. He could really be coming
Yes.
into this race unbeaten. He won his first race. He was very, very unlucky behind Science Patch. I think there's no doubt he would have won. A couple of missteps after that, of course, withdrawn on veterinary advice, and then he dislodged Zach Burton, which could actually be to his benefit. He's had a nice light season. He's brought up the hat trick since. And it's this, as Nathan says, that whether this was the original target, but it's the way things have gone. He's improved at a rate of knots. He's now at a rating where this is the logical step. And sometimes I think for interviews, I wonder if Zach Purton sometimes, I don't know, has gamesmanship or intentionally complicates things. Personally, if I was in gate 7 and sitting on the outside of some promising horses in front, you can see everything on map in front of him. And the ones on the outside, wider than him, are going to be at a disadvantage. So I say 7 out of 14 is a pretty nice place to be. But Beauty Eternal, he's up there in the ratings as well. Super Sunny saying, well, he continues to confound the pedigree experts, doesn't he? Because he keeps looking like he can go further and further. And he certainly made up a lot of ground last time to edge out Sword Point. So it's hard to imagine him not staying. You just wonder if he's maybe reached the limit now. There's a lot of good judges do like Super Sunny saying it's hard to imagine him not there. But Beauty Eternal, he's unexposed. It's just the class combination, isn't it, of a wily old evergreen trainer like John Size, who knows the time of day, Zach Purton on board with so much experience. Galaxy Witness, another interesting horse. I must admit, I was tempted as well as an each way angle, and who knows? I was thinking Galaxy Witness, he could run them over 2 miles and he'd be never near a third. That kind of horse. But it might just be his time, as you say. Damien Lane, fantastic draw, and he hasn't run badly all season. It would just be the perfect time for it all to come together. I actually went for Solid Point actually as an each way selection. But it's a fantastic race, isn't it? Not only fantastic trainers, but international jockeys too, and horses, and of course the mare Bonza Perla. So everything's happening. You can't discount that. Sweet Encounter could come back to his best. Straight Aaron was a good winner last time. It's such an amazing race, and Voyage Bubble could get out quickly and angle his way to the front, and and of course Trouble in Running. You just never know what's going to happen in these 14 runner races. But for me, Beauty Eternal is the horse that could still be anything. So that will be my selection.
Yeah, I think it should be a really interesting race, but at the same time very wide open, because all the 14 runners in the field will be trying the 2,000 meter at Charene for the first time. So actually it is a bit tricky. Of course, John Size runners, Beauty Eternal, number 2, with Zach Purton on board is really strong, but I will go for another horse from the John Size stable. That will be number 6, Two Show, breaking from gate 1, and with Ryan Moore on board. Ryan Moore today at Charene, he gets a lot of good rides, so hopefully he can continue his form just like yesterday in Australia. And Ryan Moore and John Size, this jockey trainer partnership, just had a success in 2018 on board Ping Hai Galaxy in the Derby. I still remember that on that year, Ryan Moore was terrific. His performance was brilliant on board the horse Ping Hai Star, and hopefully this year this partnership can also have another success in the Hong Kong Derby. To show, he also performed in the first 2 legs of the 4-year-old Classic Series before. He finishing quite well in the Hong Kong Classic Cup and also the Hong Kong Classic Mile. And this time stepping up to 2,000 meters, it looks the best distance for this Redwood Sun. So hopefully he can handle the distance, especially he gets a good draw, 2,000 meters at Charene, there is a sharp turn right after the gates open. So I would tend to look for some of the horses from the inside barrier, and usual I'm guessing that this time he will be staying in the midfield, and the leader for the field will probably be the outside draw Voyage Bubble, the winner of the Hong Kong Mile. But I think last time over 1800 meters, it's already too long for him, and this time 2000 meters, and it will be very difficult for him. So Voyage Bubble will be leading, may not be very fast for the pace. So Tuchel, he may be staying in the box seat, which will be quite a nice position for him. So hopefully Ryan Moore partnering with this John Size horse can have some good performance. And also another horse that trained by John Size with Encounter is an dark horse, I would say, because this time he will be putting on the blinkers for the first time. So hopefully the gear would be helpful. And also Bon Sapella, the only mare in the field, also changing the gear, putting on the blinkers for the first time. So quite a lot of good horses to fancy. The all-year-old of this years, the Hong Kong Derby, they are quite strong and then having quite a brilliant future. So let's enjoy the race, and then I will be cheering for number 6, Tuchel, in race 8. So to recap the Hong Kong Derby this year, Nathan and Steve agree with number 2, Beauty Eternal, and then I will pick number 6, Tuchel, for this year's Hong Kong Derby. So hopefully you will enjoy the race today. So after talking about the big 2 races today, let's talk about our best bet and value bet. Let's talk about our best bet first. Nathan, who do you pick as your best bet for the day?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I went through the card, and it's very, very hard to find a genuine best bet because, outside of maybe you look at California Spangled, probably looks an obvious. I think that's fair enough. And then I did want to look at Beauty Eternal, and I thought I might want to give him the best bet tag. But again, when I think about the best bet, what's the race where I'm only going to have the one bet? And I go back to race number 3 here, number 8. It's called Round the Globe. It's my only bet in the race. I'm very, very keen to be with him. I thought his first up, he's only had the one run in Hong Kong, the Son of Hellbent, and I thought it was a really, really good run. Ran him behind Brave Dreams back on the 26th of February. Karis Teaton rode him on that occasion. He rides again on Sunday afternoon. He drew gate 5. It's a very similar setup, clearly, based on the gates and the course and distance. But I thought he was very unlucky that day. He sort of got caught up in behind gallopers, and eventually, once he got clear, he was very, very good to the line, I thought, round the globe. And he was very unlucky. He SP'd around 5-1, so there was already market support on that occasion. I like to see that. If a first starter has that market support and runs well, I expect them to continue it. I think that he can run off that and won't see as much of a sort of a second up syndrome as some gallopers you do see. They don't quite replicate their first up performance, but I think this guy can. I thought he was a good trialing leading into it. I didn't have him mark that short in that race, but he came out and he proved me wrong. He was a very good run, ran the 3rd behind Brave Dreams, who just got the saloon passage while Round the Globe had to do all the donkey work getting outside and wider on the course. So I thought it was a really good effort. And he comes into this race where I didn't think there were too many dangers. I thought Fast Buck was an interesting one, 14 back to the 1,200 metres, but I couldn't be backing him on his recent efforts, considering Zach Purton jumps off as well. They do book Ryan Moore, but gee, it's just Fast Buck's been one of those ones that's been costly to me personally the last couple of starts. And then the other one that I do want to give, and I was going to entertain is number 2, Awesome Treasure, but he was really good first up in the same race in behind Brave Dreams, but he SP'd 63-1 and he drew 14, went forward and got cast. Something similar could happen here from gate 10. So, and I thought Round the Globe beat him pretty convincingly. So I'm going with Round the Globe. I think it's one of the better bets on the card. And as I said, it's the only race where I'm having just the one bet on the card. And so Round the Globe for me looks like a nice progressive type. Hopefully he can break his maiden at the second time of asking, because I do think he's got a lot of progression and upside too. I think he'll find himself possibly at the top of this class, maybe even going up in grade future down the line. So Round the Globe, best bet.
Yes, a lightly raced 3-year-old race 3, number 8, Round the Globe. He just had a quite nice debut last time out. It was a bit, there were some excuses, did not have a clear one in the home straight, and second up today, he is expected to improve. Steve, what about you? Can you tell us again who will be your best bet for the day?
Yeah, just say nice of you to mention Awesome Treasure there, Nathan, my selection there, but probably seeing the backside of your horse, I would imagine. Never mind. And yes, go back to race number 7, the Queen Silver Jubilee Cup. Yes, I do like California Spangled, as Nathan says, one of the more obvious ones. And I did look at some of the. I thought Mighty Stride was very interesting as a best bet, but I have my value bet in there, so I don't want to sort of muddy the waters. I just think California Spangle is the horse here. It's the great combination. Tony Cruz, Zach Purton, 9 wins from 15 starts, and I think he just will have a bit too much class for the classy horses, Wellington and California Spangle, of course. But I think the fact that Zach jumps off a horse that he knows rather well to stick loyal with California Spangle speaks volumes. But an interesting race, of course. I think Alexi Bedell will feel rather grieved to lose the ride on Wellington. But of course, you can see what Ryan Moore did in the Longines Hong Kong Sprint, a race where the favourite Lucky Sweeney was very unfortunate, but of course got his compensation in the Chinese Club Challenge Cup and then laterally in the Centenary Sprint Cup. Not to mention Wai Kuku, of course, and Kuria Wonder, classy operator on his day. But for me, yes, I think it's very likely that California Spangle will make all under Zach Purton.
Yes, I do think so. Race 7, number 1, California Spangle, ridden by Zach Purton, is the really the likely winner of the Group 1 as a 5-year-old. He is at the top fit at the moment. And for me, my best bet goes to race 6, the class 3 over the 2,000 meters. I quite like number 8, co-partner Elite, that will be ridden by Vincent Ho, breaking from gate 4. This Danny Shum trained gelding is doing well, starting from last season when he started his career in Hong Kong. But when you check his form, you will see that before this race, he was always drawn wide, but this time finally a good draw for him, gate 4. So I think it is quite I would say it is a golden chance for him to break the maiden in Hong Kong. After 14 starts here, he already scored 5 placings, and he was breaking from a wide draw or he was carrying a top weight. So that would be quite difficult for him to win. But this time only carrying 123 pounds along with a good draw, I think there is a really good chance for him. He also have some good performance. Last time out finishing second. I think also he will be trying the 2,000 meter for the first time in this season. However, his form last season, he already finishing too close second over this course and distance. So this horse must be handling this trip well. So hopefully this time, good draw for him. He will be having a good position, and then he's likely to win, to break the maiden in Hong Kong. So race 6, number 8, co-partner Elite will be my best bet. So to recap, our best bet for today, Nathan goes in race 3, number 8, Round the Globe, and race 7, number 1, California Spangle for Steve, and race 6, number 8, co-partner Elite for myself. And also let's talk about the value bet that we like. Nathan, who do you have as your value bet?
Yeah, well, Steve mentioned the last. I think that's a great way to find some value in this Charene card. I thought it was a really open race. I will say I like Mighty Stride. I think he's a very, very talented galloper, stepping up to the 1,400 meters for the first time. And I'm probably going to save my stake on him. I feel like he's going to be my little saver bet in the race to make sure I don't lose, because my each way bet on the race is down the bottom of the page here. Number 13 goes by the name of Hyper Dragon Ball. Talk about horses that have struggled to draw a gate. He struggled to draw a gate last time out over the 1,400 meters behind Tamara Blitz. It was a $14 commodity in that race. He drew 14 with Lyle Hewitson on board and was forced to go all the way back to last. And gee, go have a look at the replay. I thought he was enormous on that occasion from well back in the field. And Tamara Blitz got a perfect run, sort of getting in between runners, and got out at the right time to strike last. But Hyper Dragon Ball had no choice but to circle the entire field. And I thought he was one of the better runs of the day on that occasion. That was again on February 26th. Tamara Blitz was in that race, and it was a really nice win, Ben. So we get a nice little weight swing on Tamara Blitz as well, as Hyper Dragon Ball gets down in the weights with 118 pounds. And so, look, he's probably on the verge of a class drop, but I think he's up to this. I think he can run a nice race from barrier 7. Lyle Hewitson, a jockey that's in really, really good form at the moment. He's been able to snag a few winners as of late and gets a nice run in transit here, somewhere midfield. If he can get this horse to jump a little bit better I feel like he's going to be right in the mix for a race like this. You go back for his form as well. The start prior to the Tamara Blitz run, he ran into a horse called Beauty Eternal, and we know we've spoken ad nauseum about him and his chances in a Hong Kong Derby. So he can tie the form in really, really nicely. And then even prior to that, his first up run in Hong Kong, he ran into Nordic Dragon, who at the time looked like a very, very progressive type at the Valley. So, look, I think Hyper Dragon Ball, fourth up, fitness on his side now. Looks like he gets well in at the weights considering this field. And look, it's a race that doesn't stop there. I acknowledge that. Another horse that I think at a value price that I can acknowledge is number 2, Find My Love. I think that's a nice chance. Never Too Soon. Found the frame nicely last time. Stunning Impact draws nicely from barrier 1. And even the bottom one here was Zach Purton on board. He gets down low at the weights to ride Unpresuming. So I think there's a lot of interesting gallopers in this race. So when it's wide open affair like this, I'm happy to make my value runner in this race. I'll go with Hyper Dragon Ball, though. He's the eye catcher from last time I wanted to be with. And the fact that we're getting, what is it now? We're getting $14 and $4 a place each way. I think that's a really good each way bet to finish the card. So Hyper Dragon Ball in the last each way all day for me.
Yeah, quite an interesting card in the final race, race 10, the class 3 over 1400 meters. So number 13, Hyper Dragon Ball, just had a really eye-catching performance last time, didn't break well from the wide draw and chased really well, only beaten by 2 lengths last time out, and this time quite a better draw for him. So it is quite good to look for some outsider in race 10. What do you think, Steve? Who do you pick as your value bet?
Yeah, sentiments with Nathan here. I also think Mighty Stride is the most likely winner, but it's, as again, I probably have a saver on him. But it's just a fantastic betting race, isn't it? Good prices, and I went for probably a $10 horse in Naboo Legend. Horse that I really like. He's his first 2 runs really went up to much at all in Hong Kong, but he improved markedly on his 3rd run. He was 3rd to Not Usual Star. I was a bit. I think Nathan himself was. We both queried the form that day because it was pretty much a blanket finish. I think the first 7 were covered by about a length and a half, but the form's not been too bad. We've had the likes of Golden Express and Brave Star come out and won, and the last time. He was then finished 4th, and then he was a bit more disappointing when he was 8th. But the last time he was 4th, and I thought that was a better run again by Naboo Legend, and that was with Blake Shin on board, and that was his first attempt at the 1400 meters. And it's nice to see Blake Shin on board again. It'd be nice he could go one better than last year from exactly the same barrier. Shin was just nutted on the line on the horse Royal Bomb. He was 2nd. It'd be nice to get compensation this time. But yes, a really interesting race. We've also got the likes of, and I think Not Usual Star is interesting too. He was only 12th last time, but I thought he was compromised in the race. Didn't get the best of runs. Alexei Bedell on board. He's got a nice draw this time, and we've also, of course, got the likes of, as Nathan said, your selection there. Hyper Dragon Ball just was making relentless ground under a jockey that I've really got a lot of time for, Lyle Hewitson. He's very interesting, unexposed. But Mighty Stride, though, is the one for me. But Naboo Legend, it's just steady improvement each run lately from the press statement in gelding. And as I say, he's very much unexposed over the 1400 meters. The draw, gate 9, could be better. But I think at $10 to win, I think he's a good bet.
Yes. So race 10, number 7, Naboo Legend for Steve. He's an up-and-coming 4-year-old, this time reuniting with Blake Shin. He should be the best jockey piloting with the horse, and I think he's still improving, especially if he can stay in front or even leading. He will have some better chance. So quite a good match in race 10. And for me, my value bet goes to earlier in the card. I like race 2, number 11, Lifeline Vision. It is a class 4 over 1400 meters. And my value pick, number 11, he is nothing from, let me see. He's nothing from 27 starts in Hong Kong. But I think this time racing at a career low mark of 46, he is able to bounce back because this time he will be ridden by Karis Teton for the first time. And I think he should be quite a good jockey for this kind of back marker. And at a career low mark, he also have some good performance over this course and distance. in this term, he is always unlucky because the pace will not always be favorable for him as he need to chase from the back. But in this time, race 2, I think there will be some speed here. There will be some horses expected to be leading. So the tempo will be favorable for him. And also this time, Kerstetten, I just mentioned, he is suitable of riding this kind of lazy horse, and also carrying a light weight of 122 pounds will be quite good for him to break the maiden in Hong Kong. And actually, last time racing over the trip and the same trip and distance, he was finishing 4th. It was not bad because the pace at that race was really slow, so it was really difficult for him to chase, but he still managed to show some acceleration in the home straight. So I think maybe at this rating he is able to bounce back. So hopefully Lifeline Vision number 11 in race 2 can have some good performance today. So to recap our value bet today, race 10, number 13, Hyper Dragon Ball for Nathan, and also race 10, number 7, Naboo Legend for Steve, and race 2, number 11, Lifeline Vision for myself. So that's all for our preview for today's Charene racing. Hopefully you will enjoy the big race, but apart from the 2 big races, the other races are quite strong. The field, there are some up and coming horses that will be racing. So hopefully we will bring you some winner. Thank you for watching today, and we will see you next time for the Happy Valley preview. Let's enjoy today's racing. See you next time. Goodbye.